Attention, please. The stream starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't know. I ask people, how do you make it work, relationships? And I get different things. Communication, you know. Some guys say drinking helps. A lot of men tell me, though, a lot of men just like, hey, man, just let her be right. Just, you know, yes, dear, and I get it. All these things I get. But here's, I think, the real thing to it is picking the right person in the beginning. Then the work is a little easier. You don't mind doing the work. So I don't know about for ladies, but for men, I've got a little litmus test. Here's how you know you got the right lady. Right, fellas? It's the one you look at and you say to yourself, you know what? I love this girl so much that I am prepared to come home from work every day, sit down in front of her, and listen to her story. Now I know it's not going to have a beginning or an end. I realize that. She's going to introduce new characters along the way. But I'm going to listen with love and empathy. Going to offer no solutions. Even if there is a clear solution, I will not offer that solution.
Hey, what's up? No, how do you feel, Dwayne? I just threw you in, by the way. I didn't even say, what's up? This is the greatest comic ever. How do you, I was watching your face while you were watching that. How do you feel when you see yourself or see like an old bit of yours? How do you feel when you see that?
You know, that bit in particular is very near and dear to me. Sometimes I cringe. Sometimes I feel like I feel like that was me at that moment of time. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
What I like about
you were single during that time. I don't mean to ask, but you weren't married at that time. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm still not married. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were married.
No.
Man, I just jumped in. Like, let me just introduce you. By the way, I went in like we've been talking because I've been trying to catch. You know, I'm excited about catching up with you, Dwayne Perkins. You have multiple. You have a Netflix special. You have an Amazon Prime special. You have multiple dry comedy bar specials. You just got back from a European tour, which I heard was phenomenal. You had a blast. You've been touring, doing a lot of shows, and we're honored to have you come through to Knoxville, Tennessee, and give it up for Dwayne Perkins. Yay! Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about coming. I'm excited about seeing you. I mean, the last time we hung in person, I think it was Cebu.
Oh, Cebu. I thought it was Hong Kong. I thought I got to see you after.
Maybe Hong Kong after Cebu. Maybe Hong Kong after Cebu. But I always tell people the best paella I ever had was like, I'm pretty convinced you were trying to kill me in Cebu because with food. Yeah, right. We ate every 2 hours and it was all great food.
Right.
It was the only time in my life I had swollen feet later. And I'm not a medical doctor, but I've been telling people you gave me gout. I don't know if that's even accurate.
Well, you know, it's funny. I use a joke with the comedians, like when I've talked to Paul and them. I don't even know if I should say this, but remember, I think you called me the next morning thinking, I think I'm dying. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, when I went to poop, I was bleeding. And I was like, no, you ate beets.
Right.
And I was like, no, you're not dying. And I think that's it. By the way, too, so we have someone special that I wanted to bring on before. He's only going to be on for a second. Speaking of Cebu, I wanted to bring to the stream Mr. Sam McCool in Australia and Sydney.
Hey guys, how are you? Wait there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, man.
All right, I'm going to show you exactly where I am right now. Check this out. Can you see that?
That looks nice.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you're pissing me off, actually, Sam.
That's Sydney Harbour, my friends. This is winter and it's 20 degrees centigrade. What's that in Fahrenheit? 100,000? I don't know. It's like it's hot. It's hot here, man.
70, 60? Yeah, 67.
This is my hood. So it's winter here and it's 100 degrees or whatever, and I'm going to Iceland. It's going to be colder than that in summer. Anyway.
Well, the last time you two saw each other, I think Sam came in to do a couple of gigs, and you two hooked up in LA. Is that right, Dwayne?
Yes, Sam. I think you did a workout spot at this place called Ponchos in Manhattan Beach. It's a great Mexican restaurant / pub. They do a show there every Monday. It's just a great workout room. I do it like once a month, and Sam came through and we did it together.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for hooking me up, Dwayne. You know, he hooked me up with a gig. We didn't hook up together, just so we're clear on that.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I wanted to make sure we kind of had I wanted to kind of get everybody together because Sam, I can't get you on the show, and I'm not going to do another co-header because the co-headliner this time was all Dwayne. But then the next time you come, it'll be in 2024. Sam, you're going to be doing something special, which I would love to try to bring Dwayne in.
Yes.
Is it okay if we say or no?
Let's leave that for another show right now. I reckon.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
It's a secret. It's a secret. Yeah.
Secret.
Dwayne's part of it. You're part of the secret.
We'll let Dwayne know before he has to do it. So
yeah.
It's improv, Dwayne. We're giving you 2024 to get ready for it.
Right. Dwayne, have you ever got to go to Sydney? Have you performed in Sydney before?
Yes, I have. Yeah, and I hung out with Sam in Sydney. We hung out on
Sydney Comedy Festival.
But also that street where all the shops and everything, where the knockouts were happening. Remember people were knocking people out?
No, knockout. What? That's just normal. That's my street. That's my street, man. What do you mean?
Right. Oh no, there was a thing in Sydney. It was before I got there though. Like all the bars closed early because like the year before.
Oh, sorry, lockouts. I thought you said knockouts, like people were knocking each other out. Like that's normal. Lockouts. Yeah. You're right. That's everywhere in Sydney. They shut it down. But I remember seeing your show at the Sydney Comedy Festival, Dwayne. It was brilliant at the Metro Theatre, Factory Theatre.
Yeah. I'm looking to come back at some point. I love Australia, and I'm actually. I got a tour coming up. It's not locked in yet. I mean, 2 places are locked in. 3 places are locked in. Hong Kong.
Yeah. You need more than 2 to make it a tour, buddy. Otherwise, it's just otherwise just a gig in another town.
Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore are locked in.
Oh,
that's a tour.
That's
wow.
Good.
We may add Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City and some other places. So we'll see.
Yeah, and once you get over
amazing.
there, I think what people don't realize is when you get over there, especially when you fly into Hong Kong, because I guess you'll be doing a show with Jamie. Is that correct? With Takeout Comedy?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And then Umar with Masala. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Who are you doing? Who are you? Because I miss those people. You know, actually, one of the reasons I wanted to bring Hip2B² was actually secretly trying to bring all my favorite comics from Masala, from Takeout Comedy to Knoxville, just so we could have an international exchange, right? So.
It's already an international exchange. You got someone from Australia. That's international.
Yeah,
you don't need to get there.
They kind of see you as cousins to America. I know y'all don't believe it, but we see that. Aussie Mega Shampoo's been around forever, so we're like,
we're cousins, and we're deep south. I mean, we're souther here than anybody y'all have in the south. So we're cousins in a way you don't even expect.
Exactly. That's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. But where are you, Dwayne? Where are you going to be performing in Japan?
Half and half military bases, but also I'm picking up some expat shows in I think Osaka and maybe Tokyo. We're still working it out.
Okay. Well, I got you, by the way, too. We'll talk after the show. I got you a great gig in the heart of Roppongi, in one of my favorite venues where Paul and I did a show, and you will love this place. It's called the New Matrix Bar. Awesome place. So I'll connect you up with that. But so I know that Sam's not going to be here, but Dwayne, I don't know, Sam, have you ever been to Knoxville, Tennessee? No,
I've been to Memphis, Tennessee. There was a little house there owned by some guy who died on a toilet seat that was apparently quite famous. And I went there to see the toilet seat because I'm like, that's a killer toilet seat. I've died of some stages, but never a toilet seat. I mean, Elvis took the next level.
Did he die in Vegas? I thought he died in Vegas.
No, he died on the toilet seat did he die on a toilet seat in Vegas?
I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
We got to Google it. Yeah.
Put that in the chat. Let's find out.
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't think I've been to Knoxville. I don't think I've been to Nashville. I've been to Nashville. I've been to Memphis. I don't think I've been to Knoxville, so I'm very excited. You know.
And we're actually, to be honest, me and my wife are very excited about just showing you around, getting you, because our real goal was when I came to Knoxville, I just couldn't believe that there wasn't like a permanent comedy club here. There had been in the past years before,
right.
And you know, and it was just a regular event that everybody went to, but then it just kind of poof before COVID. And then during COVID, of course, and then they had a really good thriving local amateur scene, but I wanted to mash it up. I mean, we've got big venues. Oh, I just had somebody in the comments say he did die in Graceland, his state in Memphis. So
thank you.
Thank you. In Memphis. There you go. Thank you, listener.
I'm glad. And 20 degrees is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So thank you for that, Josh A. This guy's great. He's like official researcher.
Scientist. Yeah, he's a researcher for us. But
there you go. I got the right toilet. That's great.
Boy, you got a prayer in Memphis. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So we wanted to mash it up. We wanted to be able to. We've got big arenas. Kevin Hart comes through. Saw Chris Rock's last special before he went to Baltimore to do it live. So we have those big venues, but we wanted that middle intimate. And that's kind of why I started this kind of as a dare to say, if I can mash up the locals with the professionals, and actually it's very selfish. My goal is actually to bring all of my favorite comics I love working with. Dwayne, you're one of those. I have to say it to Sam because he's on the call, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's
that's right. Hey, we're like brothers. You can't favor one over the other, man.
Exactly.
This actually reminds me of. Do you remember we did that radio interview in Cebu? Do you remember they took us up to some mountain or some random radio station? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I'm just getting flashbacks.
I remember the traffic being so bad. It was like worse than LA traffic. And
it was bad. It's 2 hours just to go like 5 miles.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing that Dwayne was complaining about when he was in Cebu, we kept feeding both of you every 2 hours.
Yes, that's right.
And so I think y'all gained, but I mean, to be honest, let's be truthful, right? In Asia, you can kind of eat, especially except for the pork, that'll go straight to your heart. But the you can stay in pretty good shape. You know what I mean? Because there's always rice. So in Knoxville,
and it goes straight through you. It goes straight through you. So you just shit it out, man.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not gonna
you just go. It just goes. And that's something we were talking about before you got here too. But Sam, Sam, I know that you and I are going to be talking about some other things that we're going to bring Dwayne in. I know it's 10 a.m. for you there. Is that correct? Or 8 a.m.?
10:14. So
10:14 a.m. Yeah. So thanks for popping in. I just wanted you to get you two together because I always throw you two together. But this time I'm so excited to bring Dwayne in solo. And then you're next, Mr. McCool. I think the last time I hung out with you in person was in Charleston, I believe, right, Sam?
Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, I get around. I'm like the Dwayne Perkins of Asia. He's over there more than I'm in the US more than he is, and he's in Asia more than isn't that random? Charleston, South Carolina.
It was so random. I don't know where you're at. Hey, Dwayne, have you ever done Iceland before? To give Sam some tips.
No, I haven't been to Iceland yet, so that's on my list though. And,
but you just did Helsinki, and you did Helsinki, and you also did Denmark, I believe.
Sweden, Helsinki, Norway, Oslo, and Rotterdam.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to dive into the Helsinki one a little bit and the Rotterdam ones as well. With Sam, I'm gonna drop you off. I love you, man.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that you came in and said something to Dwayne and surprised him.
Yeah. Hey, Dwayne, something. I didn't know I was going to be on this. I didn't know I was going to be on the show, but I'm going to leave you one last cutaway to the beautiful Sydney Harbor, where Finding Nemo was filmed. You just picked on a good day, man.
Let me just warn you: if this is your winter and it's like 67 degrees, if you have any experience of Irish summer, it's going to be 130 there when we flip. So we're going to do right. It's going to be 130, 140. We're on fire in Sydney.
We'll be on fire too. We do that. That's good. I told you we're cousins, man. Anything you do, we do bigger. Bigger and burnier. It's going to be hotter than Hades there. Anyway,
thank you, Sam.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, buddy. Bye. Man, to be honest, me and Sam have been working on some stuff that we're going to try to bring you in, but I don't think so. How has it been for you in LA? Like, have you been doing a lot of shows there locally? Or have you been traveling most of the time?
It's been great. I do a lot of local shows. I guess technically the technical term is content produce on a game show.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
It's not a union gig, so I'm a producer on it.
Gotcha.
And I actually just finished taping a game show. I was a guest comedian. I did about 20 episodes with Mario Lopez. There's a new game show coming out called Blank Slate. It's going to be great on the Game Show Network, so I'm really excited about that.
Nice. And now it has this, I mean, this might be a sensitive subject, but has the strikes been tough, or
yes
how
and
is
no.
that going?
Like the game show stuff didn't fall under that situation. Yeah, acting is stopped. You can't really act. Right. You can't pitch any.
You can't write.
Yeah, you can write like specs for yourself.
Right.
But commercials are still happening because they're under a different contract.
Right. Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, just to be able to get you over to Knoxville, just to kind of meet the scene and get introduced, And by the way, this is a brand new scene, so you're going to see. It's going to be. I think it'll be. Cebu was different in the Philippines, but Knoxville is going to be a whole nother kind of experience. So. And I think you've got another interview. I think you're going to be doing an interview tomorrow morning, your time at 10 a.m., 1 p.m. our time on WJBE, which is Jammin' 99.7, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Gene Thomas.
Yeah, correct.
And by the way, I don't know if you know, but that radio station was founded by James Brown himself.
Get out.
Yeah. So it was his radio station. He created it, and it's got a long legacy, and it's the last Black radio station in Knoxville. And just some amazing artists, amazing DJs. Wow. Joe Armstrong, who's the owner and manager of this place, is just such a phenomenal figure for the music scene, and also for Knoxville. And his connections to James Brown, just something to talk about when you talk to Gene. It's going to be a really good interview tomorrow.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So I guess he's been around long enough to have met James Brown before.
I believe my understanding is he worked at the radio station when James Brown owned it. And then later on, what he did was he took all of his money, all of his savings, and then bought this radio station, and he's been running it ever since for the community. And there was a talk where the FCC was trying to get rid of his license, but I think that's been resolved. But they were going to shut down the only Black radio station, Black music radio station in Knoxville, which I think the community came together and said, nope, that's not going to happen.
Right.
And to be honest, I mean, I grew up in, right outside of in a place called Lafayette, Alabama, and all the music I ever had was New Jack Swing and old school hip hop. And I know it doesn't sound like the South would. I guess I could have listened to the country stations, but I went to an all Black high school, right? So I was just the only, and that was just my thing. So to find a radio station here in Knoxville that it really does play my soundtrack, and for them to strike it down, man, that was.
I know, it's crazy. I remember when we were in Cebu, that Big Sean song had just came out. I ain't messing with you.
Right.
I remember you singing that. That, like, whenever I hear that song, I think of you. In fact, yeah.
It's funny. I think of you on that one, and there's another song which. I'll probably get myself in trouble with this. Ruben Paul came to Hong Kong one time, and there was that song, No One Messing With My Click, Click, Click.
Oh,
and every time I think of hanging out with Ruben Paul, getting him so messed up, but then he had to host the International Comedy Festival the next day, and he hated me for it because he was so bad. We had a blast. So that song with Big Sean, and then Ruben Paul with Ain't Nobody Messing With My Click. And everyone has like an anthem, right?
Yeah.
And so
And Big Sean is on that song too, because that's good music. I think that's like Pusha T.
Yep.
Big Sean.
Yep.
Kanye, maybe Jay.
Jay-Z, I think is on there too for the thing. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask too, because you're in a different place now than back then a little bit. I know that when we were. We were, when I was in LA, you were having some minor surgery, which won't bring up it. We're starting to feel our age a little bit. You still look amazing. Look the same, Dwayne Perkins.
Thank you.
Yeah. But how are you dealing with, I mean, is your comedy mutating into that age bracket, or how do you feel about that in your comedy bits and stuff now?
That's a really good question. I think, kind of yes and no. I think like I have there's a part of me that's eternally youthful, so
Right.
I can tap into that. But I do think the perspective is like coming from an older person's perspective, but it's not like it's not get off my lawn. It's not that kind of stuff, and I'm still doing like stories and crazy observations. So I think that with comedy, if you keep doing it, then you kind of like without even doing it on purpose, you stay in touch with what's happening.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's harder and harder to do though, because of the political correctness.
Yes.
Because of, like there's so much, and on both sides, there's so many people using comedy as some kind of a
smokescreen
thing.
Yeah.
And it's not even a social thing. It's literally pushing their specific agenda. Like I think comedy is supposed to be sort of, it's okay to use it for truth.
Right.
But I think it's being used for like, almost like boutique truth. Like this is what, and it's not like, so with my comedy, I have to be aware of that, because if it seems like you're punching down, you can lose people. Like I have a joke about a guy with a full face tattoo, right? That I encountered.
Right.
And it's like, this guy chose to tattoo his entire face, And in certain crowds, you can see people like, ooh, he's making fun of the guy.
Cringe. Right.
I'm like, he wasn't born with a full face tattoo. You understand? And like,
right.
And so, it's that thing. So nowadays, when you write a joke, you have to word it just so to make sure you're not punching down. And then you have to have a response if they take it the wrong way.
Right. You got to be able to play both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, what I love about you is you can actually go into any crowd anywhere, and you can kind of tap into that audience. And you've also been very lucky too, is if you look back at some of your older stuff too, it still plays because it's so it's your uniqueness. Don't you feel a little lucky because you don't have to go and strike like, ooh, I shouldn't have did that joke, because it's all your stories. You wrote your life as jokes. Right?
I have a few jokes that definitely I couldn't do now. Even one on my dry bar special, because the dry bar thing was great, but it's like I did recycle some material because in my mind, that was a whole new audience. Right. When I first did my dry bar special, I didn't realize it was going to be viral. I thought it was literally just, I misunderstood. I thought it was just like for some people in Utah. You know what I mean? Or like
you were just doing a one-off.
Yeah, I knew it was online, but I didn't.
Right.
And the dry bar thing has been great. It's been absolutely, it's been great. Even more than the Netflix thing, which is now it's not on Netflix. It's on
Amazon, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's on. It's a bunch of places now.
Yeah.
But basically, dry bar has been tremendous. So hats off to them. But I did an old joke on dry bar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an old joke that I wrote in the 90s. When I was a much younger man.
Right.
And it was just real. It was weird because then it was about like having platonic friends and, and it was at the time it was a great joke. But since then, it's like how frustrating it is when a girl is a platonic friend. And I think probably me doing that joke in my like 20s is different because I don't, I can't get every girl in the world, but I don't waste time on girls I can't get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. We're getting older. We got time. Right. We don't have much time to waste. Right.
But it's weird because, and I don't want to do the joke or anything, but it's like that joke, it hit different this year, and to the point where I told Dry Bar, just take it down because people were saying like I was giving incels life, or I was an incel, and I tried to explain. I was like, because people were throwing around some really harsh language, like, and I was like, whoa, I don't condone anything crazy. And I tried to explain two things, that like, it's in jest, or three things. It's in jest.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a joke about unreciprocated
love or like.
It's okay. It happens. It happens on both sides. And and also, incels didn't exist when I wrote this, right. But then people got mad at me for explaining because they thought that was an apology. So you can't win.
Right.
So that
was just strike it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that too. I read through the comments, and I was hard pressed to find one that was against me.
Huh. Interesting.
But people were DMing me direct notes and things they didn't like, and how dare you. And so like there was a discourse going on between people in the comments. But I think also people were like, you see all these incels in the comments here, that you know, you're giving them life. And I'm like, I'm not an incel. I'm from Brooklyn. We never had that. Like, that's not a thing. Like, we never had sympathy for a guy who couldn't get girls. It's like, that guy is like, you just have to learn how to talk to people and how to interact with people. So anyway, it was weird because I think a few people were so loud, and it created a false sense of like it was really 90% of the people had no problem with it, but the 10% was so loud, that it felt weird. You know what I mean? So and on the other thing is that joke has been redone a lot. Because it's
by others, the kernel has been redone by other people.
It's been literally reposted a lot.
Like someone took a copy and reposted it somewhere else without your
someone
permission.
Just typed it in. Because it's like all over the country, right? Yeah. There's some 18-year-old guy, he likes some 18-year-old girl, and so this joke became a way of him to sort of like
break the ice,
express what it felt like for him. And so the other thing is I was accused of stealing a joke on Reddit, which I wrote the joke before Reddit existed. You know what I mean? And I did it with Conan, and I'm aging myself, but I did the joke on Conan in 1999, and no one had a problem with it. So it was just really weird, right? So I'm defending, like, I had a bigger problem with people accusing me of plagiarism than I did of course,
saying that you're creating an incel movement based on your joke. But that's where I was going to ask you, are you glad you got started when you did? Imagine trying to be a comedian now getting started.
Yeah, I think so, because here's the thing too. I think there's a lot of young comics, and I think they're funny. But what all the outrage is doing is it's killing. It's not killing. It's sort of blunting or stifling creativity. And so a lot of comics are talking the same exact thing. And it's like everyone thinks they're so creative because they're not a bro. Like bro comedy's out, right?
It's totally out.
Anything that gets overdone is hacky. So it's like, you know, I just saw the Barbie movie. It was good, right? But it was like patriarchy this and patriarchy that and patriarchy this. And it's like, listen, guys, the patriarchy is who produced this movie. Do you understand that?
Right. Yeah.
So I think I'm glad that I'm not starting now, but I think like comics who do start now, I don't think they know. I think they're just playing within the parameters that they've been given.
Dealt. The cards have kind of been dealt.
Exactly.
So one last thing I want to do, because I know you're busy and I promised you 30 minutes here, but how do you also feel being, you know, like breaking ceilings and, you know, being African-American and, you know, breaking into that ceiling? Do you feel like it's getting better for you, or is it getting worse? I mean, it had to be super hard in the beginning. Or is it getting worse now?
I think society is in a weird place, but for comedy, I think it's getting better, because I do think that it felt, and I could be wrong, but it felt before, like, you know, this at any given point, there's one black dude, and he's the guy, right? But I don't think it's.
And I feel, like, you know, what I hate about this is I was trying to get so many comics into a small group, and I feel like you're now my token black comic for the season. I was like, that's crap.
That's fine. I'm your guy. Don't worry. I got you.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No. But the thing is that, like, now I feel like it's because of all the alt movements and all the other sort of offshoots of comedy that are still comedy. Like, I think Kevin Hart played a big role in this, because he has such a, like Richard Pryor had crossover appeal. Eddie Murphy had more.
Yep.
Martin Lawrence had some. Kevin Hart had a lot. So I think now we're in a good place because there's like there's the black nerds. I do a joke about that where I go, when I was a kid, you couldn't go full nerd. You know what I mean?
You had to hold back a little bit.
There's still the urban Chitlin circuit vibe. There's black comics in the LGBT community. There's black alt comics. There's black nerds, and so I think the internet has done. That's one thing that's good. It's sort of like all the shades of black. They're all getting their voice, and that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and female too. I mean, some of the black female comics are just crushing it. I mean, even on the local scene, you know, I'm just so proud of how they've been able to come out too. And it's hard for me to say anything. You know, one of the things that I try to watch out for is, you know, I don't want to be like, oh, hey, I am the straight old white guy. You know what I mean? And so I want to try to give so much voice because I lived overseas. That doesn't mean anything, but I learned so much from the jokes. I mean, you know this. You can get people to empathize with you when you make them laugh with you.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the key. I mean, you can stop hating on each other when you're laughing beside each other. And so I did say that was my last one. I always do this one.
That's okay.
How is Europe? Like, is it easier to just do whatever you want in Europe as opposed to the United States? Was it free?
No, it's I wouldn't say that. I think it's about, in terms of that, I think they kind of they're walking on eggshells a bit too, but I think it's because they're in step with us. They get so much of our thing. Like I could do a joke about Karens and I don't have to explain what a Karen is to them, which is kind of like so they're really locked into us. I do think that, I think sometimes there's a hesitancy on certain topics, but they don't get as self-righteous. They don't get like, you can't say that. So that's how it used to be in comedy. Like if you were going over the edge, the audience would tell you by not laughing.
Right.
That's always been the metric. If they laughed, you got away with it. If they didn't laugh, you got to retool it.
Right.
Now we live in a world where they can laugh, but one person could be like, no. Right.
Yeah. And and it's that one person that creates the noise. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's good. Maybe it's
good. It's good that their heart is in the right place. I think it's sort of like, I don't know. We're trying to get to this place where we're not punching down on anyone, and we're not quite there yet. Like, because now you can punch down on someone who you think is a bro. You can punch down on someone you think is like, if you think they're stupid, but with a kind heart, you can't punch down on them. But if you think they're stupid and they're meanies, then you can punch down on them. This is you almost need a sheet before you go into a comedy club. You just need a whole grid of what you know what I mean. And
what can you say?
Is, I used to get a pass. I'm not gonna lie to you. As a black person,
it
was like, hey guys, no one can tell me anything about oppression, right?
You're right. Yeah.
But now, because I'm a straight black man, I feel I'm not as tethered as a straight white man. Like straight white men have this circle is like this, right?
Yeah.
But as a straight black man, my circle is closing. Like I can do a bit that they don't know where I'm going, and you can sense them like, and I'm like, guys, I'm a black dude. Like I get to say anything, right? So, and maybe that's good too, because it's forcing me to write better. And you know, you can't make a joke. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't make a joke offensive proof, because someone can be offended by anything. But it can help you word it just so, like, because sometimes you can get lazy and you can have a joke that's funny, but it's not exactly what you want to say. So some of the political correctness is sharpening your writing, like, so people, at least make it harder for them to misconstrue or take out of context. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what is your next thing? Listen, you think you're going to be doing this forever? What is your thing once the strike ends, which I think it might go long? What is it? All content? Is it movies? Is it film, TV?
That is a really great question. It's like, I'm a utility guy, right? So I'm still I'm pitching shows. I have like a pilot that I did with my cousin, and I'll tell you about it when I see you. I'm really
of course. Yeah.
So a part of me feels like I'll do comedy forever, to be honest with you. But another part of me is like, maybe I should just do like 2 or 3 specials, put everything I have into it, and then see if I can get like some kind of like really solid TV gig, be it on either in front of or behind the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when you say TV, that's also construed in a weird, you mean streaming? You don't mean like, or ABC, NBC, or Peacock? Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Any of the above, because either like doing something that's scripted and either being the creator or writer of it, or being starring in it as well, or doing something not scripted. Because I've been in this game show world for a while, so there's life over there too. So
I mean, but to be honest, you're gonna have to. I mean, if you want that niche market for game shows, Steve Harvey's got that locked, right? Like he's really on everything.
He really does. But you know what? He still wears his suits are a little bit big, so he might just have to slip on one of his lapels or something, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah,
he might have to slip on one of his double-breasted suits.
Exactly. Yes. You know what? One of the things I'm excited about bringing you down to Knoxville is the Knoxville film scene is really blowing up. Nice. The Discovery was from here. Scripps. It was Scripps, then it was Discovery, and then of course Warner Brothers acquired Discovery, and their headquarters was here in Knoxville. So there's a lot of amazing crew, amazing.
Right.
But if you think about it, this is where Alex Haley was born and started writing. And then Eat, Pray, and Love was written here in Knoxville. Finished here. So there's a lot of creativity here. And one of the things I'm trying to encourage too is not only are you going to be able to come and do shows, we really want to inject you into the film festivals and and introduce you to some of the directors, or get you some content or some shows, films.
I would love that. I've written or co-written over probably 10 to 12 movies, and I've produced 1 movie.
Okay.
So, that's my jam as well. It's kind of, sometimes it's a gift and a curse to be sort of multifaceted. I'm not like bragging or anything, but
you're not trying to flex, but you're trying to flex.
No, because comedy's still my bread and butter, and that's how I. And I mean, it's in a way, I just gotta plug this thing in. In a way, comedy's how I feed myself. In a way, it's not though, because the game show has been feeding me kind of lately.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the one thing I also want to tell you is a lot of Californians are moving to Tennessee because no tax, no traffic. Nashville, Nashville's the new LA, by the way. That's something totally different.
No, completely. I think Sean Mullen said it's like LA's like Nashville with a tan, right?
Yeah, it really is, and it's not on fire. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah, it's a little different. But
that's the thing. A buddy of mine who he used to spend a lot of time in Chiang Mai. Him and his wife they just moved to Thailand, and so that's the new jam too, where it's like COVID, the quarantine really put everything into focus about that kind of stuff. So I think LA's.
By the way, how did you survive? I know. That had to be hard.
Well, you know what happened? 2 things happened. The game show I was working on, they kept us on for a few months. We went virtual telecommuting, which is crazy because I had been begging them to do that for 3 years straight.
Right.
Like when I first went there to write, we would go in and email them the jokes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that kept me afloat, and then I got all these virtual corporate shows. That's really, and I'm still doing those to this day. I get
virtual, like you're doing them through Zoom.
Yeah. It's not. People always say, "Well, isn't that weird? Isn't that awkward?"
Yeah.
As a comic, I could tell you this: it's not more awkward than an in-person corporate shows. Corporate shows are awkward, right? They're giving out awards. They're eating.
They don't care.
Bosses, they're sitting next to their boss. They don't want to laugh at anything.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's no less awkward, except it's awkward, and then you end the meeting and you sit back down on your couch, and that's that.
Exactly. Well, you know what? That sounds pretty good, because I have to say, corporate gigs or ones that are at restaurants where they're having a festival or whatever like that is not the most fun.
I tell people who don't know comedy or who are not, like in the world of comedy, unless you're like, like a Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle, you're doing some big arena. Typically, the more you're paid, the less fun the gig is.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you listen to some of the podcasts, listening to Conan or Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade, and they talk about their gigs. They say exactly that. That's what they say over and over and over. The more you're getting paid, the more it's like, so I feel bad. And I was like, well, Knoxville's going to be a blast for you. I'm just kidding. You're going to have a blast. Yeah. But I can't wait to have you here. I know it's kind of in the afternoon there, and I want to make sure you have your evening. You're probably going to be doing some gigs and stuff. I can't wait to host you. You're going to get to meet my wife, who's amazing. Yes. She's actually, her daughter's driving all the way from North Carolina. She's to come see you. So no pressure. So we've got a lot of people very excited about seeing you perform, and I can't wait to host you and connect. So sadly, you'll probably be eating a lot again. So just watch out for that. Well, be careful.
I'll be ready.
Okay. Just be ready.
I'm gonna veggie load before I get there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just did a juice fast, so I also got ready for you coming in. So we're good to go. But Dwayne, if you need anything, let me know. Can't wait to host you, and I will see you in 3 days.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gary. Looking forward to seeing you, man.
See you, brother. See you soon. Bye.
You never said like 4 women hijack a plane. Yeah. I think it's because it would take too long, to be quite. And another thing. I'm sorry, but why are you hijacking this plane again? I'm getting to it, okay? Okay. It's just that we've landed already, is the thing, so